Hey everyone, welcome back. Here's the annual garden, and I've got some exciting news. Well, I'm excited anyways, and that is that we are collecting pallets, and we're doing that because we are getting bees. Well, I feel like every single summer, life just gets so crazy and busy, so much busier each year, but we've got some tomatoes coming. I haven't really had a chance to come in here and prune that much, so I typically like to remove the suckers, and then you can actually replant these. See all these hairs? You can actually replant them and they'll actually regrow. They'll reroot. So that's a cool thing about tomatoes. If you want, you can also put it in water and then it'll kind of root into the water, and then you can plant them out. So that's however you want to do it, but I found just planting them out does really well. But everything's coming along really well. The annual garden is doing quite well. You know, those sad, sickly plants. Sorry if there's any wind noise. The sad, sickly plants, when we transplanted them, have popped up and really started to make a home in here. I know we're probably a little behind most people if you guys are further in the south, but yeah, the annual garden is doing great. Here's the potatoes. The container potatoes. So if you do these container potatoes, just make sure you drill holes in the bottom of the tub. And this one actually can probably get topped up a little bit more. I've topped it up twice now, and just as they grow, I just top it a little higher, get that soil, you know, mounded up around the stalks. And because they're similar to tomatoes, they'll root all down in that stalk, and then they'll, you know, put a crop, even more of a crop. So gotta top these up. Always something to do, but so far they're doing great. Here's the chicken coop, so we're still working away on the coop. Just been so busy. We've got kids sports that are really pumping out a lot of games. I have to get flashing on here, so thanks for the suggestions. Great suggestions. We're going to put some flashing on there to prevent water from getting into the hinge area, and then, you know, back in behind there, and then getting into the nesting box area. So we're gonna do that, and then we still have to paint here. We're gonna put some hardware cloth behind that window as well. So those are all great suggestions, and thanks everyone for making them. You can see we put hardware cloth up on these vents here, and then we're gonna add some more onto the other side where the window is. And here's some of the cold hardy kiwi growing up the side of the trellis here, and more on this trellis as well, and you can see that we're actually coming right into raspberry season. Yay. Raspberries are probably one of the most underrated fruit, I think. They're just so flavorful. One thing we've been doing is eating a lot of the cherries that's coming off of this cherry tree, trying to get them before the birds, and I think we got most of them. I see one up there. Let's go grab that. Gotta get them before the birds get them. So good. And the pit goes right on the ground. Step on it. Perfect. Here's hazelnut tree. It's really turning into a jungle back in here, you know, in a good way. It's really neat once you get this stuff planted out, and then you kind of realize you're now just, you know, an observer, a casual observer, and you can go around and just basically forage off your land. I really want this area to feel like a real forest. That's why I'm putting hazelnuts on this side of the Jerusalem artichoke patch. We've got the cherry. Once these species start getting really, really large, it's gonna feel so cool back here. Now here's the pond, and I haven't done hardly anything with this pond this year, besides just kind of topping it up from our artesian well flow. There's a lot of evaporation. We lose water from evaporation and the splashing for the waterfall. Some of that gets put into the air. So we do have to top it up every once in a while, but we have free water here. And I just love seeing the dragonflies. You see that circling around? But the algae problem, which was a huge problem last year, especially this time, Our pond was actually so full of algae that you couldn't swim in it. It was, you can see some of it at the bottom of some of these lilies here. The whole pond was covered in that stuff. And we were in there cleaning it out. But now, I think the water's starting to get a little bit more balanced. I think me leaving a lot of the organic matter to decompose has really helped bring that acidity back up, because it was very alkaline with all the limestone. But it's doing really, really good. And the fact that that's the only algae that we have after me not really touching it for so long is really exciting. Look at this peach. It's really reached up, and it's putting on lots of growth up top. That's kind of nice. These sea buckthorn, I don't know if you guys remember how big they were last year, but look at them. They're massive. These things have they're at least 10 feet tall now, and they're in, I think, what, their second year of growth? It's crazy. Those things were 10 inches tall when I put them in. Look at this wetland, how it's developed. Isn't this just gorgeous now? It's a nice little warmer temperature where the frogs really, really like. And just a little bit further downstream of it, we've got this shallow ledge, and this is a ledge where it's supposed to help the fish, the koi, actually lay their eggs. So they'll come up here in the shallower waters to lay their eggs. So that's kind of what we're going for here. But the wetland is really developed nicely, I think. People are always asking for updates of the Wildflower Hill area. So here you go. This is Wildflower Hill area. This is Wild Sweet Williams and Rudbeckia, Black-Eyed Susan. We got yarrow in flower behind there. We've got daylilies up here, and this whole thing is edible. Flowers. These seed pods, or the flower pods, they taste like little spicy beans. We've got a pollinator favorite. This is St. John's wort, a very useful medicinal plant. We've got daisies. We've got cardinal flower down there, elderberry, serviceberry, oregano, ostrich fern, just tons of stuff growing here. And like I promised, I was going to let this go. I was going to let this go wild and give it back to nature. And I'm really loving how much insect activity I see when I come down here. It's just wonderful. It's actually so wild down here that I have to check myself for ticks when I go back up to the house. And I have to stay not too long down here, just in case I picked up some ticks down here. That's probably the worst part about my area, is poison ivy and ticks. The weather's getting warm enough where ticks are kind of getting burned away by the sun. So they don't like it when it's too hot. I don't know if you guys can see the dragonflies, but they basically just patrol this whole area. They're like little Apache helicopters. And they just swarm and kill anything they see. Now, I came out here to shoot a video about the bees, and I've got stuff to do, but I keep getting lost in the garden. Oh, unreal. Isn't that just so nice? Come outside and just get lost in the garden. All right, I'm gonna force myself to go back there and actually get done what I came out to do. Let's go show you where the bees are going. Here's the milkweed here. If you want monarchs, plant milkweed. They need it. Yeah, they need it, and so do so many other insects. There's so much insect loss that's happening right now. So if you have any area of your property that's just lawn or useless, just consider buying wildflower packets. Make sure they're local natives. We want to plant the food for stuff that needs it. And yeah, we gotta do something, everyone. We gotta help try and save the insects. When they go, we go. So enough of this bugs are gross stuff. Try to unteach that to anyone who thinks that we need to help them out. Look at this, the water lotus survived our winter. And for anyone that doesn't know, water lotus is hydrophobic. So see the water just shooting off of it? Isn't that neat? How cool is that? So water lotus has edible roots. You can actually eat that. Ignore the ugly algae. I'll clean it up. Just gotta find some time. Hey, but that's gardening, right? Isn't that's what gardening is? It's not perfection. Gardening's all about imperfection. And I like showing you guys my imperfection because we all have it. We all have imperfections that we want to fix, and we just don't have the time to do it all. My gardens aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. I just don't have time to be perfect, but I want to just keep working. Yeah, so what's that saying? Perfect is the enemy of good enough? Focus on good enough. Focus on getting stuff done and just working and restoring nature. Don't worry about being perfect. Okay, so here we are in the back area, and this is where the bees are gonna go somewhere here. And we want to get a fairly sunny spot, so we'll probably get some in here. And I've got like a hugelkultur bed that I created there and then just let go wild. So there's walnuts and strawberries and grapes in there. We've got water down there in a pond that I built a long time ago. This is my big willow trees. This was a hand dug pond that I did maybe 4 years ago. And we're gonna mow down there a little more. I haven't been mowing down there because, you know, I don't want to mow anything more than I absolutely have to. So we've been focusing up closer to the house and letting the other areas go wild, which I think is the right way. And the bees will probably go back in here somewhere, far enough that they can't really bother anybody, close enough that they can pollinate everything. They have a long range though, so I'm not worried about distance or anything like that. I do want to get them close to water. So we've got our artesian well pond there. We've got a river that kind of, not river, a stream of the overflow that goes down there. That's the pond that I hand dug down there, so they got water there as well. And then continuing to turn around, this is the Jerusalem artichoke patch that I just walked through. And we've got our other pond and our food forest up there. So the bees will have plenty of forage, nice and close to the wildflower hill, which is just on the other side of this wall of Jerusalem artichokes. And the bees will love that. And for now, this is what I've been procrastinating, and I got to get it done. So I have to take this down so we can get a truck in through here to drop the hives off. And I'll have to probably dig this guy up. It's our English Carpathian walnut there. I'll have to dig that up and hope that it survives the transplant. Okay, so we've been busy at work taking down half this trellis here, and this is going to bring a little bit more space for access for vehicles down in here. I'll have to get rid of that black Carpathian walnut. And there's a kiwi next to it, and probably that kiwi there, and we'll find new homes for those things. Hopefully they survive. If not, I guess it's the price of getting bees and opening access back up to the back of my land. I kind of had to do it anyways if I want to do little spot clearings in my forest back there and try to open up new glades to plant out as food crop systems and, you know, wild, even if it's more wild stuff like oaks, but just to replace some of that cedar monoculture back there with a nice healthy ecosystem diversity. I want to do that as a long-term project, and to do that I really need to get access in here to be able to haul the trees out, maybe sell them to somebody, or do something where someone cuts them down and they take the wood. You know, maybe I help them cut them down and stuff, but they get all the wood, and then the wood gets used and sequestered into furniture and fence posts and stuff like that. And then I also get access to new space, because a lot of these trees are kind of done sequestering carbon, and I can probably, if I can replace them, I can get new species in there to sequester more carbon. That could be a good thing. Gives me more room to open up for hazelnut production and that kind of thing. So maybe I can get some from the squirrels. Alright, so the pallets are set up. We're going to do quite a few hives, you can see. We have to get kind of in the sun, but centrally located to, you know, as many flowers as possible. So we are going to do quite a few hives, and I'll catch back up with you guys when we have them here. So on a completely unrelated note, I was just in the pond going for a swim and figured I'd clean up some of the algae, and I went into the wetland here and I found a little visitor, a little friend. Not the dragonfly there. Look at that dragonfly, so cool. So not the dragonfly, and I'm not entirely sure where he went, so I will go find him because he has to get removed from here. Not him. I'm coming in here and I stepped 3 inches away from him and he didn't move. This is the thing about coming into here, is you have to be careful. You want to make sure you don't step on anybody. But I've got my net. I'm not looking for you, buddy. You're safe. Where did the snapping turtle go? Not looking for you guys either. It's so cool in here. Okay, let me find him and then I'll get my camera back out. Well, I cleaned the whole thing out and he is in hiding. I don't know where he went. Somewhere in between, underneath one of the rocks. Kind of looked under there, but I couldn't find it. Anyway, we got a baby snapping turtle in there. We had a snapping turtle last year. Is that him? He's moving. You shouldn't have moved, friend. No, that's just a frog. Or is it a frog? I think the snapping turtle might have it, that frog. He does. Snapping turtle is eating the frog. Found ya. You shouldn't have gone for a snack, dude. Now I gotcha. Hello. How are you doing? Time to find you a new home. So do you see the shape of the shell? Kind of serrated on the sides, especially in the back. I don't know how well I can show you that. Serrated in the back. You can see the little mouth, how it points up. And he's got kind of pyramid shaped spikes on his shell and a long dinosaur looking tail. So that's how you can tell it's a snapper. And they can actually reach almost all the way around behind to the tail, so you got to be really careful picking these guys up. Even something small like this probably do a lot of damage. So one other thing I've been doing is pulling out the volunteer raspberries. For anyone who watched last year, this whole garden area used to be our raspberry patch, and we pulled those out. We transplanted them everywhere. A lot went down to Old Man Walking Trail, and then we put compost, manure down, and then wood chips. So the whole area kind of got buried by about a foot of material. And I've been pulling out raspberry cuttings, or raspberry volunteers that are trying to grow up through it, and they're very well rooted. So if you actually want to propagate raspberries, here's one here. Let me pull this up. If you actually want to propagate raspberries, this is a pretty good way to just bury them. Look at this. So the whole entire shoot all the way up has been rooted into this new material, and then it's pushed, you know, up, I want to say at least 8 inches, and then put on great new growth. So you pot this up with a great root system, sell it at the end of your driveway. This is a $5 plant that I just picked up and chop and dropped. And all property has pros and cons. Our pro is that we have quite a bit of land here. We're on 4 acres, and it's fairly easy to get 4 acres around here. 2 of it's kind of swampy, but we have 2 good solid dry acres that we can actually plant on. But for those of you in smaller spots, that might not be as possible for you. But what you have that I don't is you have access to a market. So right now, you know, if I wanted to pull all these raspberries out and sell them, it's almost impossible for me to find the buyers who would actually buy them outside of, you know, advertising it on my YouTube channel and then having to deal with shipping and everything. What is that poor little guy got on him? Is that normal? Oh, just normal. He's got yellow boots. Is that an infection? What is that? Does anyone know? You see those little yellow shin pads he's got or something? So for me, it's really easy to grow stuff. I can make a lot of it, but finding the people to buy it is the hard part. And I could sell them online. Probably, I know a lot of people have asked me to sell them plants, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to ship and track and collect money and all that kind of stuff. And it's really just not worth the money and the amount of time, especially, that it takes for me. So, I mean, that's the big thing. If I could just stick them at the end of my driveway and get a good solid market, because I was in a subdivision or something like that, that'd be fantastic. But it'd be harder to get land. So just remember that each property's got pros and cons to it. Sometimes, you know, you might not be on as much land, but you do have access to a lot of people, and a lot of people could be access to propagating plants and selling them. Oh, good morning. It's the next day and it's actually raining. We needed this so badly. So I was holding off on this video, the end. I'll probably have to end it here this morning because we've got a bunch of things that we've got coming up. I was holding off until we got the bees, but I'll show you what we have so far, and might have to wait a week for the update for this one. So we finished painting the inside of the chicken coop. We're going to install the chicken wire, the drip edge for the little, I'll show you what I picked up actually. I was able to scrounge up some garbage, which is always nice when you can upcycle stuff. So I found this stuff, which is just vinyl flooring, and cut some strips out of it. So we're going to put this and lay it across this hinge just to stop any kind of water getting in. And this is going to be nice and flexible. And then it's not new material, it's upcycling someone else's garbage. So that's always nice to do. And we're going to install our door. We're going to install the perches on the inside. Chicken wire on the bottom to keep any diggers out, and then we'll probably get the chickens. So that will be coming next week, and I'll show you the hive setup. So this is the back edge of the property. Cleared a little area for the bees. Sorry about the shaking camera, I don't have my gimbal here. So we're gonna get quite a few hives. So here's some of the hive boxes, and they currently don't have bees in them, but we'll get the bees in them soon in the next couple days, and we'll do an update video. But it might be a week for that one, so just stay a little patient with us if that's all right. We got some big things happening for the family that I might not be able to push out a video in the next little while. We'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching. Sorry it's been so long since our last video, but we were kind of waiting to try to do one big bee episode. We'll do that. Have to do a part 2 follow-up on this in about a week. But the food forest is ever increasing in its vibrancy, the amount of flowers. I think the bees are going to have a great home here.